Now, Silvana Estrada, the Mexican Latin Grammy award-winning singer-songwriter, is set to make her debut at this year's La Línea Latin Music Festival in London next week. And 4 years ago, Silvana suffered a profound loss that shaped her latest album, as she's been telling the BBC's Charlene Rodriguez.
Before Silvana's performance, I caught up with her to find out about her latest album.
This album, Vendrán Suaves Lluvias, that translates to There Will Come Soft Rains. To me, it's an album about hope. I did this album in the middle of a really complicated time of my life. During that period, I lost my best friend and his brother. They were murdered here in Mexico, and I guess that kind of destroyed me. I guess I had to die a little bit and then reconstruct. When you get to know death and violence in such a direct way when you're so young, it shaped you in ways that takes a lot of time to realize what is important. The 10 songs that are in the album are the songs that create like a more direct story of the feelings, of the anger, the rejection, and then the sadness, and then the insane melancholy and nostalgia of a body that it's like kind of remembering old days that they're not gonna come back, no? For me, the last song, which is almost like a mantra, like a Mexican mantra, it's like this acceptance of a heart that it's broken, but it's actually able to love again.
Silvana's musical influences spans across Brazilian, Latin American and American jazz artists.
I fell in love very quickly with a bunch of strong female voices such as Mercedes Sosa or Soledad Bravo, Violeta Parra, a bunch of Brazilian music, Chica Buarque, Gal Costa. The messages were so strong and full of hope and justice and beauty that I kind of fell in love with that. My awful teenaging. I get very obsessed with jazz and Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, etc. Actually started to play the trumpet at that age. I spent like 5 years playing the trumpet.
Other influences are at play too. For instance, poetry, orchestral music and nature sounds.
I grew up in the middle of the rainforest, next to huge rivers and banana trees and coffee plantations. So a little bit isolated, I guess. But at the same time, my parents are both luthiers. So I also grew up surrounded by a bunch of music and musicians. I grew up with a bunch of albums from the 60s and 70s, all the political songbook from Latin America.
On that note of US politics and Latin America, since President Trump's return to the White House, diplomatic relations with most Latin American countries, including Mexico, have been strained. But Silvana remains hopeful.
We are in a really kind of dark moment where it feels like we are so afraid of so many things. And in my show in the United States, for example, and how important it has been to play for all the Latino communities and celebrate them, celebrate us, and to see each other through love and through caring, and kind of let all the violence outside and give ourselves a moment for reflect with grace and with beauty. And I think that's a pretty political act. I think if we fall in love with the world again, if we fall in love with ourselves and with life, we will be able to defend it better and to imagine something that actually could save us from all this despair and fear.
Aunque me duela. Silvana Estrada there, ending that interview with the BBC's Charlene Rodriguez. There's still much more to come here on the BBC Newsday. Stay with us here on the programme.